Good morning, everyone. I'm Peter Oukamp, co-founder of the CEO Business Club. Every Wednesday, we invite CEOs and founders who lead companies with great growth potential to share their journeys. I'm joined today by David Bauer from I Need an Expert, who will lead the discussion with Jessica Lay today on vehicle finance, assets, and solar finance. Good morning, David. I'm looking forward to the session with Jessica. Please introduce yourself and your guest. Thank you. Over to you, David.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you very much, Peter. It's so good to be here. So today it's David, me, from I Need an Expert, your online marketing platform for local experts in your area. As Peter said, every Wednesday at this time, we introduce a new CEO to you. Today, I'd like to introduce Jessica Lay, a really special guest from Elero Consulting, your #1 specialist in vehicle and asset finance. Elero Consulting is where clients and businesses go for affordable and fair opportunities to finance their vehicles, movable assets, solar panels, motor vehicles, motorcycles, caravans, and so much more. Their key area of expertise is to offer clients finance options with 4 major banks in South Africa. They welcome all clients, be it a dealership, a business, or an individual. Welcome, Jessica.
Thank you, David, for that lovely introduction. I'm looking forward to this interview with you today.
Fantastic, Jessica. So today, I think what we should start off with is the most thing that everybody has. Most people have a vehicle and they are perhaps looking for finance. So let's deal with the problems that they, as people looking for finance, would experience in the marketplace today. What are those problems that they experience?
Well, David, to start off with, the biggest problem that the people are experiencing out there is that they are not knowledgeable enough to know what they can get when they apply for finance solutions. And that can be on vehicles, on assets, and even things such as the solar finance is not that much known in the market as the vehicle finance. But to take it further, people are unaware that you can apply for vehicle finance with myself and still having the finance done through all 4 major banks. So lately, the renewable energy talk on the radio station, at every braai, every business meeting, everyone talks about it, but yet people don't notice the various options there is to get the finance on those systems without having to pay the fees up front. But the problem that I have experienced the most in the vehicle asset finance area is that, especially after COVID, everyone has seen they service as a sale and not by providing service. So to everyone, it's just another sale and not really offering the service. And that's what we do at Elero Consulting. We offer the service prior to the sale.
Jessica, could you explain to us how your company actually solves the problem for these individuals who are looking for finance for their vehicles? How do they, what do you do better? What is your unique selling point as far as a person who now is looking for finance for their vehicle? What will you do differently to what Westbank will do or one of those other banking institutions?
Well, David, I do work very closely with Westbank and all the other 3 other banks. They are all very great institutions to have your finance done at. The only problem the thing is that we're trying to get across is what Elero does. So you can go and apply online for vehicle finance, and you can get an answer maybe within 2 days, maybe longer. I can't really comment on the time frame there, but at Elero Consulting, when you apply for finance, you can get an answer in 10 minutes. It's really that easy. So we apply directly for the finance on the client's behalf, as I am loading the applications and submitting everything to the banks directly. So it takes out the role where you need to wait for a system, for example, to come back to you with an answer. And also, whenever a deal is declined, the system will just tell you, unfortunately, your deal has been declined, but they don't really go into the reasons why the deal has been declined. Maybe it's just the equity of the car, or maybe it's equity of the client, maybe it's the year model. So these things I can see on my side when I apply for the clients with the banks. So whenever I deal the clients with me, I can see the reason why it's declining. I can also see what I can do to have this deal approved. Sometimes you just need a 10% deposit, and the system, when you apply online, doesn't usually tell you that upfront. Now that's where I come in. Also, it's people these days, they don't like paperwork. That is also an added value that I bring to the market, to do the paperwork on their behalf and making the process much easier for them to apply. We look into depth on each and every application when they are applying for vehicle finance, to make sure that we give you the best deal other companies hesitate to give you. Our clients is our business, not our business the clients. And people tend to realize more and more after COVID that the world is such a rush, and I have to get things done so very quickly. But that is where we come in, to do things still the right way and still give you the deal that you can deserve. The other thing I do want to comment on, sometimes you would get an interest rate from the bank, but you won't see what you actually can get. Again, that is what me as Elero Consulting can see. I can see what scoring client you are, what category you are in, and that's how I can provide you the best rate that you as a client qualify for in terms of your risk profile, in terms of your credit history, and so forth.
Wow. So to put that into a nutshell, what you're doing is so instead of if a client goes to, say, the traditional banks, they would have to wait for someone to, come back to them maybe 2-3 days. So they're now waiting, they might lose the deal. And then also they don't get the information regarding why perhaps it was actually declined. And then also they also find that they can't get a better deal. In other words, they can't negotiate. So by coming to you, the service you're offering that's basically unique, and that's what makes you stand out in the crowd, is that people can phone you, and while they're on the phone, you can actually apply for the finance. You can actually tell them if the finance has been approved based on their application or not. You can offer them solutions to if it is declined, and you can offer them a better deal as far as interest rates. Is that my understanding?
Yes, David, that's exactly your understanding. The other thing I must also comment on is that when they do apply, everyone,
when they apply?
When they do apply, it's quite a lengthy process. And that process I also take out, like you said, while they're on the phone with me, I can still tell them if they're approved or not. The thing that they don't understand is when you apply on an online platform, for example, you would get an email saying you are pre-approved for this vehicle that you applied for. But the clients don't understand that a pre-approval is different than a final approval. So the pre-approval is only you approved on what your inputs were into the system. Then they ask additional documents, which they call your supporting documents, which is usually your payslips, ID, drivers, bank statements, all those FICA documents. Then only after you've submitted that to the bank, which can take another 3 to 4 days, if you do it that route, to get a final approval. And in the market, the cars get sold quite quickly, especially that specific car that you want and that you're interested in. It always gets sold very quickly. So that's the process.
I've definitely had that experience where I saw this wonderful car I wanted. I went to BMW and I said, I want this car. I applied for the finance. I waited. And by the time I actually got the finance approved, the car had been sold. So I can see where the great benefit in actually using your services is. Thank you, Jessica. So those of you who are in Clubhouse, we're talking to Jessica Lay from Elero Consulting, and we're talking about financing. And we've just been speaking about financing your vehicle. But now we're going to talk about something different, which is financing solar. Now, solar is something that obviously we all need here in Africa. It's something that, it's becoming more and more expensive every single day, every single year. Even this month now with it being winter here, the electricity bill's gone up. So now what I'd like to find out is, how do we actually use your services to fund our solar installations, Jessica?
Okay, David, the major problem there with the solar is that it's quite relatively expensive to buy upfront. There is a lot of ways that you can pay for the solar system. A lot of clients would find themselves better at getting a second bond on the house and then paying for the solar. But we have a solution where we are currently using an institution that is funding the individuals, corporates, and businesses' solar systems. So what they would do is the client would basically go and get quotations. They would accept one that is suitable for their needs. And then we would again take the client through the whole application process to submit everything to this institution so that you get the answer efficiently and quick enough back. Another thing, everyone wants solar and everyone wants it now, but then something comes up in the week, it's a business meeting or something else comes up, and only when it's load shedding again, they think, oh, I must still apply for the solar finance. So that's where that we make the process a lot better to help the client through the whole process, not to take too much time out of their days when they apply for it. There's only two things that you need to have when you do apply for solar finance. Obviously, you must have a good credit history and a great payment profile. But apart from that, you must have a gross salary of 40,000 Rand or more, and you must be the owner of the house or the property where the solar is being installed. Obviously, if you're applying for the solar on your business name, it's a whole list of different things that you would need, but it's still, again, something I can take your hand with and walk the whole journey with you. It's definitely a save on your electricity bills. Some people would say, yes, I'm paying 500 and more on my solar system, but after 5 years, you are not paying Eskom anymore. You're not reliant on Eskom anymore. It's all green, renewable energy.
Fantastic. Well, I think that's something that definitely people should look into. I wanted to ask a question there. What stops a person from actually going to if they have an access bond on their home, what stops them from actually using the access bond to pay for the solar rather than using your services?
The thing there is, again, we talk about, it goes to the interest rates. So if your bond is, for example, over 20 years or 10 years, the amount that you're going to pay over the longer term on interest is quite vast, more than what you would have paid if you paid the system off in 5 years. It works like any finance. The longer term you take, the longer interest you pay.
Oh, okay. So would you be able to do a example for a client that may be interested in this offer that you're offering them to actually find the saving?
Yes, I definitely can do an example. The clients have the option to choose between the 36 months and 60 months, whatever suits their affordability and their needs on a monthly basis that they can take out for the solar system. But your average house uses about between 800 to 1,000 megawatts a month, kilowatts a month. And then it depends on that client's needs, what they want to have on the solar. Do they want to go completely off grid? Do they want to only back up into Eskom when it was not that great the weather, it was cloudy, and then only they would make use of Eskom? Or is it someone that just wants to have a system to kick in when it's load shedding? So there's lots of different systems that you can build for each client. That's why it's so important to understand the client's needs and what they want out of this system. It's not just applying for solar finance. It's to make sure that you know your client and that you know what their expectations are from the system. It's great we can offer them the solar finance, yes, but it's important to understand that when you're giving this client this option to finance the system, that they would benefit and save from it, and not only do it as to have another client.
I see. The one question that comes to mind is, obviously by putting in a solar system, you're going to save on your electricity bill, right? Mm-hmm. Now, would the savings be able to pay off the finance, in your opinion, or would you have to actually supplement that?
It depends on the type of system you are installing. So there's definitely a system you can install that would tap into your savings. And then there's a system where you would want more than what you're currently paying for electricity. And then that tends to be a little more expensive than what you're paying on a monthly basis for electricity. But again, you're only going to pay it for 5 years. After 5 years, you're 100% saving on it.
I see. And obviously you do a cost comparison for your clients to actually show them the savings, the potential savings that they could save compared to the investment that they're making and the interest obviously that they pay.
Yes, definitely. One thing that we also tend to forget about, we see the emails and we get the SMSs and we see everything on social media that Eskom's rate is going up and up and up again. What do you think we're going to pay for 1 kilowatt in 10 years' time? So that again is a saving point.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I think you're offering amazing solutions, and especially on the vehicle finance. I think that's something that's totally unique, and by allowing people to actually come in and immediately, how can I put it, find out, if they've got the finance, get a better deal, be able to negotiate, and you facilitating that. I think that's really a fantastic service. And then obviously also being able to help with financing solar power so that they, at the end of the day, can save money on their installations and also be with power when Eskom's not there. So fantastic solutions, Jessica. I want to ask you a little bit now about yourself and your career, and a little bit about you and how you actually came into this whole process of helping with finance and funding of these different things, of vehicle and solar and other assets that you might be funding as well. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself and your career path to where you are right now?
Well, David, it's definitely an exciting journey I had. So our 8 years I've been in the finance industry, where 2 of them, which adds on to the 8 years, which makes it 10 years, I've been in the finance industry. But of the 8 years I've worked for a corporate company, and it was definitely a company I would not have written out of my life. I learned so much there, and I definitely grew as a personal, individually, as business. I definitely also there saw opportunities for the market. For example, your smaller dealerships that doesn't have bank codes can't apply for bank codes because they don't do enough units in a month to get the bank codes. So then they would contact me and I would assist their clients with finance, and they can still do the sale. So that's definitely a market for my industry, what I picked up while I was working for the corporate company. Another thing I picked up also is individual finance. They call it private to private. So that is when I would be buying a vehicle from you, but then someone would go to the online service and go through the whole process, while the seller might sell the vehicle much quicker cash. So that's what brought me to this idea. But I absolutely love what I do. I'm someone that thrives on performance. Every day I wake up very, very hungry for new business and more clients. I put everything I can into each transaction. Whenever there's a deal that's the client, and there's absolutely nothing I can't do for that client, whenever I looked at all avenues I possibly can to get the deal approved, then only I would go back to the client and say, listen, I tried all avenues. There's nothing we can do for you, unfortunately. But that is, again, something that doesn't get brought up such severely as we would have wanted to. I also thrive on acknowledgement and to be acknowledged each day for just doing what I do. I absolutely feel out of this world when I can bring value to a client or an individual, sometimes even businesses. I also live by seeking growth each day. I try and see where I can improve myself and the business by working on long-term and short-term goals to ensure that the career I am building each day will be worth the sweat, equity, and effort that we put into it.
Fantastic, Jessica. And I can see you're really passionate about doing this, and it's actually great to meet somebody who's like so passionate about doing this type of work, and you're not just there, 9 to 5 type thing. So,
No.
I think this is fantastic. Can you tell us a little bit about Elero Consulting and how that whole business evolved?
Okay. While I was working at the dealership, that corporate company, I soon realized that each client, most of the time, is just another client chased to get to the dealership's targets. And that is not only specifically that corporate company, it's any company. Look, again, we come back to the sales point. A sale is a sale, and we need 10 sales this month, and we are pushing to get to those sales. But then we tend to forget about the client and what the client's needs are. And I've therefore felt each client could have been handled better to ensure a return client when the client is already in the near future buying a car. You're not buying a car and driving it for 10 years. At Elero Consulting, I don't want a client just to have a client. I want that client to come back and back and back again. I want that client to refer his friends and his family and his partners and other businesses to me, because the business they are getting from me would be return on investments, as I can put it that way. They are investing in my time, I'm investing in their time, and I want to work for their business to have it on a return basis.
Jessica, I must say, I think you've got some absolute gem here with regard to what you're doing. And we're talking to Jessica Lay from Elero Consulting. They are a financing company, and they specialize in car and solar, as we've heard. So we are now going to ask Jessica a little bit about the business itself. Now, Jessica, obviously there must be a lot of competitors out there. Can you tell us about those competitors and a little bit more about how you actually are competing with them as far as the service that you offer?
Well, David, to start off, I think competitors in the market is really something nice to have. The reason for that is then you know where your shortcomings are in the business. You know where you can grow more. You know where you can offer a better value than your competitors. So I absolutely love working with competitors. Currently, for the solar finance, I am actually working with the biggest competitor we are having in South Africa for the solar finance. So to me, I don't see it as a threat. To me, I see a competitor as a nice to have, to learn from them, to teach me, to grow. That's what I take from competitors. And like you said, there's a lot of competitors. There's a lot of dealerships. There's a lot of banks. I mean, look at Investec. They are piloting a phase where they offer their clients, 1,000 clients, solar finance. So it's definitely a market that's growing each day, which I would want to be part of.
Fantastic. Well, at least you know there is a market out there. If they're competitors, there is a market for the services that you're offering. Now, what is your company's next big step? Where are you going? Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years as far as your growth potential and where you want to grow your business?
David, the next step would be to register as a credit provider, which is currently already submitted to the NCR. I then need to find the funding to fund the project to offer consumers credit for their solar systems. As for the vehicle finance, once clients experience our expertise in the solar finance field, for example, those clients will become, again, repeat business for vehicle transactions as well.
So basically what you're looking at is growing this business. Are you looking to go into Africa, or are you going to just basically look at staying in South Africa?
No, I'm definitely looking at going IPO and going into Africa with much more value-added business offerings than I currently have. But that is still a big process, as we all know. I am definitely looking at going into Africa and other parts of the world.
Fantastic, fantastic. So Jessica, what is, we are part of the CEO Business Club here with Peter and Gerrit. And Jeff is here too. Hi, Jeff. And there are a number of people on Clubhouse as well. Hender's here, Philippi is here, Diedrich is here. All great to see you. And what I would like to ask you, how can we help you in achieving what you are setting out to do?
Well, the saying where they say word of mouth is the best marketing tool. So all of you can help me to expand the word of mouth for my business, to what I do, to offer vehicle finance with me, and even finance the new solar systems that they are going to install after this interview. I am also looking at funding the solar side to facilitate my own credit provider company, as I have mentioned earlier. But I'm also open to any guidance and advice, a CEO support structure, if I can put it that way. Anything that you can bring to me as word of mouth, just by telling a friend, listen, I'm in the market for buying a car, call Jessica, she can help you.
Fantastic. So all of those of you who are here or are on Clubhouse, please contact Jessica Lay and to fund your next car and all that solar installation that you have. And if you are interested in actually investing with Jessica and her business, then also give her a ring. Jessica, how do we get hold of you?
Well, you can get hold of me on social media platforms, Facebook, on LinkedIn. I also have a website. It's www.elero, it's ELERO consulting.co.za. My cell phone number is 061 409 6150.
Fantastic, fantastic. So also you can go to the CEO Business Club to look for those details, as well as the I Need the Expert platform, and you'll find Jessica Lay there. So thank you very much, Jessica, for this fantastic interview. But now, finally, I want to know what your winning aspiration is. What is your winning aspiration, Jessica?
Well, David, thank you again for this opportunity and having the interview with me today. I can definitely see why everyone else can benefit from having interviews with the CEOs and founders with CEO Business Club, and David, with yourself, I Need an Expert. My winning aspiration is, my key phrase I totally live by in life is 4 words: a passion to perform. It's really absolutely something I live to and I live for, but that's my winning aspiration.
Oh, wow. Fantastic. So now I'm going to go to some questions and answers, if you may. I've got a few here that are in the chat, and I'm going to just put them out here. The first one is, what does a client do if they don't get payslips and want to apply for a vehicle finance?
Again, David, that goes back to the beginning of the interview. People are so unknowledgeable that you can actually apply for vehicle finance if you don't have payslips. That usually is people that are self-employed, that have their own businesses or sole proprietors. So you can still apply for vehicle finance with 3 months bank statements rather than using 3 months payslips. Again, you have to look into the application so deeply to understand how can you structure this deal that it meets with the bank's requirements.
Okay, excellent. So you don't necessarily need payslip to actually to apply. You can actually do that as long as there's income coming into your account, I assume. Somehow.
Well, David, yes, but if you are employed by a company, then you would need payslips. But whenever you are self-employed, then you don't need it. We can work on your bank statement.
Okay, fantastic. So the next question is, do you need to put down a deposit when applying for a vehicle or solar finance?
Not necessarily. The deposit would mostly depend on your affordability, your scoring, and your history. So if you're a higher risk client, the bank would tend to score you in a certain category where they would ask an upfront deposit. But not in all cases. It all depends on the equity of the vehicle, your affordability assessment, your risk profile, the category you fall in. So most of the time you don't need a deposit, but if you do have a deposit, I would definitely suggest to pay it up front. Then you don't need to borrow more than what you need.
Oh, absolutely. I totally agree with that. And then the last one is the solar finance that you are offering, right? I assume that you also do that for not only individuals, but commercial and industrial companies as well. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes. We can offer it to, there's no limitations as to a rand value that we can currently offer it with this institution. I'm working with. So your minimum amount is 45,000 that you can apply, but there's no maximum amount that you can apply. So corporates, businesses, everyone can apply for solar finance.
Okay. And then the last question, well, I think you've just answered it. The
Exactly.
minimum and maximum amounts you can apply for solar finance.
Yeah, so I'll just repeat that. The minimum is for 45,000 and the maximum, there's no maximum amount yet to apply for solar finance.
Fantastic. Great. Well, this has been a wonderful interview. I've learned so much from you about finance, as well as for car and solar. Solar is something I need. I don't need a finance for a car, but maybe solar. So this is something that I really have learned from you. Thank you so much, Jessica. So we've been talking to Jessica Lay from how do you say it?
Elero Consulting.
Elero Consulting. Yes, Elero. Think of Aero with the EL in front of it. So there we have it, Elero Consulting. And she specializes in finance and looks at specifically car finance, vehicle finance, and is going into solar as well. So if you need solar or vehicle finance, you know who to call, Jessica Lay. Thank you, Jessica. It's been a great interview. Thank you so much. And I'm now going to hand back to Peter Oukamp from the CEO Business Club. Back to you, Peter.
Thank you, David and Jessica. Thank you for a great interview. I learned a lot. Jessica, what struck me about you is I love your energy, your attitude, and your focus to service and the knowledge that you bring, because life these days are full of complexity and people need somebody to help them that they can trust, that can untangle that complexity. Then I have a question for you. If I spend 6,000 on power, to buy roughly 1,800 units per month, will it be possible to displace that cost by replacing it with a solar system?
Yes, definitely it will be possible. Peter, just tell me, would you want to take that cost completely away?
Yes.
Yes, then definitely there's a system that can install for you to benefit from that as well.
Okay, then the other question that I have, like David explains, when you buy cars or want to buy a car, in a way there's an opportunity side of it, where the window opens up with the opportunity for a special deal and you want to act fast. Can you be pre-qualified for a specific amount, so that when you go to the marketplace, you know what you're looking for, but you also know what you are immediately authorized for?
Yes, Peter, we can definitely do that. And I get it a lot of the time. Clients are in the market for vehicles, but they're not sure what they can afford. They're not sure if they even will be approved for it. So what we would then do is we would do affordability assessment on the client. We would pull the credit history of the client and then do a full assessment to see what the client can afford and what the client would be able to get approved for. So we definitely do pre-qualifying, yes.
Fantastic. I want to wish you all the success with your business. I'm proud to say that you're a member of the CEO Business Club, and you must have a nice day, the rest of the day. David, thank you for a very informed interview. I think then I'll give over to you, David.
Thank you very much, Peter. Great to be here. So what we're doing here is every Wednesday we introduce a new CEO to you. When I say new, not new, but a person that you haven't met before. So we introduce the CEO to you, and he then or she comes and talks about their business and what they're doing that is unique in their industry. So join us and come and listen in. And if you'd like to be part of this program, please contact either myself or Gerrit or Peter from the CEO Business Club, and we can see how we can fit you in. So thank you very much, Gerrit. Thank you for helping in the background. Thank you, Jessica, again. And thank you, Peter, for your introduction and closure.